It's Atlas and Stress once again.
Thank you very much, Pastry Time. Making sure that my microphone was not leaving my back. I'm back here. Atlas, Stress is here with me. We're trooping through.
It's all good.
As best we possibly can. Southeast Asia taking on CIS one more time. And we'll see what does change. I just want G4 to play some crazy assassin so that, you know, if there are going to be more pauses, he's got more opportunities to go straight in.
I'm thinking 2 words. Early game. Let's go for it, guys. Let's go. Let's get some early game presence coming out from these 2 teams. Reminder, last game, Rengar, Kalista, Kindred, Fiora, Lulu, and Tahm Kench were the bans. We've already got a different one. Moss is not going to go for that level 2 strat into the enemy jungle.
Not happening this time, as the Alistar has been, in fact, banned away. The rest of it looking relatively similar, though, with Kindred, Fiora, and Lulu to follow. See what is then going to leave the Rift. The CIS have their final ban. Gangplank going to be taken off the board, so Archie not going to grab that pick.
So this does leave Kalista and Rengar available. So SOFM has his options out of the jungle now. Lee Sin was available last game, didn't opt for it. Elise was the first pick for the CIS region, and Dimashka did a good job on that, but the GPL are going to stick to their guns, stick to the bans from last game, and see what they've got for us.
Yeah, Demonko is going to pick away the Thresh. I do like this one a lot. Of course, Tahm Kench and Alistar options for Moss, but he can go back to something else. SOFM now going to pick the Mundo. Of course, it fell straight through the draft. No one picking it up last time around. Now it is going to be hovered here as Archie has an opportunity to grab something else as well. We'll see what they do decide to lock in on the side of the GPL.
I'm a little not perplexed by the Thresh. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a nice takeaway. I think it was a strong champion for Demonko, caused a lot of problems. It isn't perhaps that first pick that you would kind of expect in this situation, but saying that there is so much available that you've kind of got this weird, okay, you take 2, we'll take the support we want, then we'll get whatever's left after on our second rotation. So there is still a lot up here.
I think it's all about picking it away from Moss, because Moss is just so strong on that champion. They know that he's going to take the Alistar, but if you're going to waste that ban onto Moss, you've got to make sure that you get rid of his other default comfort champion.
Absolutely, and we saw Moss's Thresh at Worlds, and just how good that was. But the Morgana's going to come out in response, so we'll be continuing the trend of Morgana into Thresh that we have seen pretty much
to be the thing
throughout the entirety of IWCA so far. I wonder how they're going to go from that, though, because we haven't seen all that much success with the Morgana. I mean, we saw one play yesterday where someone flashed over a wall, baiting that she had her ult available, just kind of ran around, but didn't get too much more from that. Oh, the Trist, actually, we didn't talk about.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Not going to be picked away from Lex this time around. Kira hovering it at the moment. We'll see what Dimashka decides to go with. Of course, Elise still there. Every jungler under the sun still up for CIS. Elise is going to be the lock-in, though. Tristana as well. CIS more than happy just to pick up the power picks. Or what they consider the power picks. Of course, Tristana is an odd one.
Yeah. I mean,
but it has been working.
This time they don't have the Tahm Kench available. They will have Thresh with the Lantern to get somebody out of safety, but it's certainly less reliable than Tahm Kench's Devour. SOFM. Come on, Lee Sin. I just want to see the early game presence out of SOFM once again. Either that or the Rengar was banned away in the first iteration. Either of those are right down an early game style out of SOFM. And with the Kalista already, you know you're kind of not hedging your bets on the early game, but certainly she's stronger at that point, plus the team fights at this point. So if you can get a good start, those are 2 champions that can snowball the game pretty quickly.
Yeah, and that's what we saw SOFM just doing so much work on earlier on in IWCA as well. Archie, considering the Shen has been banned against him as well and was unkillable in the top lane on that champion. Aurelia, though, is going to be the final lock-in here for Archie.
Have I said the word snowball enough in this game?
Oh, look, I'm not sure. I think we could probably bust it out a little
I think we can, because, I mean, Aurelia right now is another Guinsoo's Rageblade champion. Interesting that he didn't opt for the Jax for Archie up in the top lane.
Thanks, Lex.
I mean, it is same thing, Fiddlesticks Tarek, every single game. It is kind of, I guess, Jax we've seen go off a lot more. Aurelia does not provide like a different function as a champion, but certainly I feel like is a little bit more down Archie's street. I mean, Archie is going to be able to duel people pretty effectively on the Aurelia. He's going to be able to go to the backline, less reliant on a multi-person stun, more on single target and just picking people off one by one.
Yeah, it's a good point. See what CIS do decide to do, though, here in response to it, because one thing I do like is the fact that SOFM and Archie can then work together to get this Aurelia really, really huge.
The only thing is Malphite's still up. So either Jax or Aurelia are going to get stalled out. The other option is it G4 with a big bait? And it's actually the Aurelia mid
my goodness, he's done it before.
Into a Kassadin, which is a melee matchup that has a spell-only shield. So I haven't seen too much of the Aurelia into Kassadin matchup, but I would figure it's not the worst of matchups should G4 want to go for it.
Yeah, we'll see what G4 wants to take if he's going to head towards the top lane with something else as well. A Rumble wouldn't be bad into the Malphite.
Yeah.
As well as being able to sort of counter out the fact that they'll be missing a bit of magic damage. But Diana's an option. Of course, G4 played a heck of a lot of it. And when you are in this sort of remake situation, you probably want to be on comfort. You want to be on a champion that you're confident in playing to the highest level. Of course, G4's Victor was no slouch, and Moss is still yet to make up his mind. 7 seconds to go before they have to lock in the final pick. Try and answer what is looking like a pretty serious pick comp from the CIS region. And
the CIS region right now, they're going to have to somehow contend with waiting out an Aurelia, a Callista, a Diana, who, you know, very early, well, very much earlier on in the game are going to want to fight. They're going to want to, you know, take those small skirmishes in the jungle around the turrets. Kassadin needs a little time. Malphite can only really contain. Tristana needs 2 items plus to really get to that point. So I worry slightly for the CIS team that they won't be able to stall this game out for long enough. Saying that, though, we have underestimated them before. Dimashka on the Elise has been pretty strong as well, and we can't underestimate Lex on Tristana. This will be actually, I believe, his third game. He played one on Graves previously, and I guess if you count the remade game, he was playing Vayne. So Lex has shown us a lot of confident play on that Tristana.
He's definitely comfortable on the champion. One thing that is a little bit worrying here for the CIS region is the fact that Dimashka has so much on his shoulders now as far as taking care of that early game is concerned. Because like you said, a lot of aggression to come out of the Southeast Asian lineup. We'll see whether he can effectively contain it, whether he can survive in his own jungle as well. Because SOFM, he's on the Lee Sin. We saw what he can do on that champion. He was just in there killing people. This isn't the sort of supportive Lee Sin that we can often see. This is the I want you to die in your jungle all the time, Lee Sin.
It's that I'm going to carry this game whether you want me to or not.
Yeah, the full solo queue, get him a back. I'm blind, but I know where I'm going. Type Lee Sin.
Well, I had never thought about it that way. It doesn't matter what direction we're going to. Victory is the destination.
You're getting carried wherever we're off to. It's exactly right. But we are about to hop onto the rift for the second round of CIS versus SEA. We'll see who's going to be able to take this one down. Kira and G4, you can see now that we head on to Summoner's Rift, eyeing each other off. Kira, the festive season is most definitely upon us.
It is. Although down
already
is a very weird one because, I mean, being European from the northern hemisphere, I'll get to this later actually, this is not the time.
I think we're talking about the winter factor, all that sort of stuff. Dimashka not going to have a cocoon, so G4 just chilling right now.
Yeah, there's no snow here, it's very sunny and warm.
Hey, no, we've got mountains that have snow sometimes.
Okay, there's no snow here. Like,
yeah, no, not in this room.
I mean, back in my home now in Berlin, it's been snowing recently, so... It does feel weird a lot seeing Christmas adverts and they're just being sun everywhere. I'm like, this is not Christmas.
It is nice being able to go to the beach for Christmas, though.
Someone's put their Christmas decorations up in June.
Oh,
There's always that one over-enthusiastic person.
No. It's a lazy person that hasn't taken them down yet.
Well, I mean, lazy turns into over-enthusiasm. It just depends on which side of the year you're on. As soon as you get halfway
then it turns
through.
into punctual. It's like, you know, you may pay for it for a little while here, but the less you do, more payoff towards the end. Not sure whether that entirely equates, but we are going to start the early game here with SOFM on his Gromp. Smurf going to make his way towards his top lane. So standard lanes, haven't seen too many lane swaps at all, as this one's made itself happen.
And that's an interesting one because, you know, we were discussing what the factor of priority that the Rift Herald was going to give.
Yeah, we thought that it would make more.
Yeah, we were expecting perhaps some situations where you'd see a lane swap that you were heavily focused on a top laner or a 2 versus 2 top lane. It's interesting that the teams here at the IWCA haven't been putting priority on the Rift Herald. It is difficult to take early on. It does deal a lot of damage, and it is a short-term reward. And these games have been fairly long games when you look at it, going way over the average. Bottom lane, a lot of damage being traded back and forth.
Yeah, Optimus doing a lot of work on Monko here. Even the Rend is going to go off. Explosive shot. It's going to chill over there. Looks a bit like a present talking about Christmas. Not a great one for Optimus. Just takes a bunch of damage from it.
That's not the kind of present.
No.
I mean, at a minimum, it's like annoying. It's like, you know, when you got a sibling or like a young child that gets a noisy toy for Christmas, and you're like, please don't have the batteries for that.
Yes.
And then the batteries come out, and you're like, oh god, I gotta listen to this all day. The same song on repeat.
Yeah. Well, Archie hanging out here in the top lane might have a bit of trouble. Stamashke is going to be coming around. Equilibrium Strike comes out. Smirk going to be stunned up for a moment, and the Spider Lady not quite in here just yet. Blade Surge is going to be there. There's the Cocoon. Volatile Spiderling is going to go off, actually turning all the way around. Damashke not quite with the damage. Wanted to get that one sorted out.
So one thing about Aurelia right now, especially with the Corrupting Potion, is you basically just walk into lane and you Q someone, and you deal a lot of damage from it. Because you just chug the pot, you deal the extra burn damage, and lo and behold, you kind of tick them down. Problem is, against a Malphite, that doesn't work too well.
No.
So against most other lanes, that is actually a good thing to do. The problem is Archie's half health against a Malphite that has Grasp of the Undying and is going to get a lot of that back, and has the passive that just allows him to absorb most of it anyway.
Well, we'll see whether Archie can get past it. Of course, Hit and Style is going to help as far as soaking up this harass after a while. In the early stages of the game, it's going to be more difficult, what with not having the same AoE clear. G4 going aggressive on Kira. You can see not a lot of mana left. There's the Ignite down, a couple more auto attacks. Oh! That's going to be first blood. There's G4, turns it around with a Pale Cascade. You just don't 1v1 this guy.
I mean, yeah, what have you got to do to G4 at that point? I mean, I guess not fight him on Kassadin pre-6 would be the answer to that one. I mean,
or pre-25 minutes.
Pre-25 minutes. I actually don't... Yeah, that's kind of fair, I guess. But Kira, just thinking he had the read there with the Ignite, ended up dying in that. Couldn't output enough damage, even with the aggressive combat summoner. G4 now teleports back to lane, and look where SOFM is positioned here. If he can get deeper into the jungle, or maybe even look to get a pick, this is GPL completely capitalizing on just a 1 versus 1 little fight in the mid lane that went heavily in their favor.
Now, very aggressive Popcorn Chicken. There's the point-blank Dark Binding. Fantastic Black Shield there, as well as SOFM finds his way in. Oh, uncharacteristic miss there, and a massive tick of that explosive shot.
I also don't think he wanted that Sonic Wave to hit.
Yeah, no, I have a feeling going underneath the turret would have been a bad idea.
Yeah, there was a turret and no minions around it. G4 going aggressive.
He's hit level 6 here as well. There's the passive proc. Kira has to be very careful, not with the Rift Walk just yet, and no flash. So G4's burst not going to be escaped from.
Yeah, I mean, to provide some extra context on why G4 is level 6, the actual difference in experience between you and an opponent when getting a kill increased. So when you kill your enemy, you actually get more experience than on previous patches. So that's why the level 6s come so early.
Oh, G4 taking up
it
3 turret shots. Throwing that lead away just a little bit. Lunar Rush not quite off cooldown just yet. Relatively high in the early stages. Pale Cascade comes in once again. G4 just flirting with death, as SOFM is here to back him up.
Timashka's here as well, though. So I don't really think that's a dive that they can go for. Still only level 5 for Kira. He's getting a lot closer to that level 6 mark. But right now, it so far has been all about the GPL team right now. Dimashka hasn't really been that active, has been farming in response, and I think he just hasn't wanted to run into SOFM at all. I mean, doesn't want to try and contend with the Lee Sin in the early game. Try and wait it out a little bit longer.
Well, SOFM, speaking of which, is going to be taking this Gromp, but Kira getting taken down to about 300 health. Dimashke just really has to be babysitting this mid lane, and you can see that he feels it right now.
Yeah, this is a tough matchup for Kira right now. G4 is just constantly shoving in this this wave into the tower, putting damage on Kira when he can, and very smartly just avoiding any kind of gank attempt or even counter ganks from Dimashka. And there really isn't too much that they can do until Elise can get into that lane. They're kind of stuck with Kira under the cosh there in that middle lane, under a lot of trouble.
Oh, yeah. Well, Sheen has been picked up. We'll see whether it's going to be the Iceborne Gauntlet. Oh, Death Sentence going to land on the Moss here. Not going to quite get into turret range, but that explosive shot is going to do a lot of work. Optimus still able to get the cannon creep, grab some Ren damage there onto Lex, but Moss has to be careful.
Yeah, Moss didn't hit the Dark Binding there either. It was a hair's width away, but wasn't really on point, and Moss very nearly paid for that with his life, and I really am glad that that's not an Iceborne Gauntlet. Top lane.
Yeah.
I'm so much happy.
Oh, Kira just gets destroyed. G4 says that looks like a blue buff for me. Is Dimashke now trying to turn it around? Power Cascade, we'll see whether it's going to be back up in time, and Dimashke just doesn't want it. G4.
Yeah. I mean, Dimashke doesn't want it because look at SOFM. They know that SOFM is likely on the bottom side of the jungle from the top side river control.
I also don't think Dimashke could have killed him 1v1.
No, I'm not sure he could have either, but very smart of Dimashke to recognize that SOFM has, in now 2 games, spent most of the early game in the lower jungle of the CIS region.
Yeah.
So, reading the situation well, but couldn't do enough to save Kira's life there.
Yeah, and this Diana is bringing back memories. Memories of the Chiefs getting decimated at IWCA. I almost cried after that, but G4 is just such a monster on that champion.
Yeah, and this is possibly the biggest departure of style between the remade game and now this. Is going from control mage into snowball heavy kind of burst assassin with Diana. And you look at the champion he's playing against in Kassadin, this was clearly a bait to get Kira to pick that Kassadin because of how strong he has performed in the last couple of days. Kassadin, Rod of Ages, has been very good for Kira, and G4 says, you know what, I think I can take him this game. Put him on, Kassadin, let me deal with it.
Well, he's certainly done so. So now, SOFM beating over the blue buff. That's another one over to G4. And he now has the Abyssal Scepter completed. So that is a Catalyst of the Protector to a completed Abyssal Scepter and Double Doran's Ring.
Yeah.
Not great times for Mr. Kassadin.
Not at all. As we took a quick peek up into the top lane that I like to dub the European Challenger Series top lane, where nothing happens until junglers get involved.
Yeah, and they most certainly are here. As the teleport from G4, he's going to try and turn this one around. In he goes on to Dimashke, takes half of his health pretty much immediately. Crescent Slash not going to find his way in. Archie just says, yeah, okay, mid laner's here now. Stop being mean.
That is pretty much how
I think that's what he said.
Yeah,
that's sort of infer.
I mean, Irelia Malphite.
That's what I would have said.
Irelia Malphite. I've casted so many games from Wicked this season that this legitimately is like half of what all of the games in Challenger Series become. It's just Irelia and Malphite, and they just sit there, no one does anything for a very long time. And then suddenly Irelia turns up with like 2 items and can actually do things against the rest of the team, but yeah.
Interesting to see what Archie's going to build actually on this Irelia. Of course, looks like he's starting off with the Trinity Force. I like that.
Yeah,
but then he does have a couple of options. Of course, can go Rageblade, then could go into that Essence Reaver maybe for that 40% CDR.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing because we've seen 2 different Irelia builds. We've seen the Essence, the Trinity Force, and we've seen the Rageblade. I actually think the Rageblade, once you get it as that first item against Malphite, it creates a lot of problems for him because Malphite really only wants to itemize armor for a very long portion of the game until about the 3rd item, and as soon as you start dealing magic damage to him and he's already got armor components, he kind of panics and it's like, oh, I can't contain you anymore. So I'm a little surprised that Archie hasn't gone for it straight away, but I'll be honest, the matchup we have seen evolve in multiple different ways over the last couple of days.
Yeah, we certainly have. I've even seen Hextech go. Oh, that was cute. Lex just jumping on top of the lantern.
Don't do it because you have to, do it because you can.
Exactly. Exactly.
Not always the best way in life to get through things.
Seemed to be working for Lex, though. I thought it was good. Shows that he's still having fun.
I mean, people are going to see that and then do that in solo queue and not recognize that like somebody's in the lane. You just use jump and get caught by like a Malphite ultimate.
Yep. Oh, Moonfall's going to come down. Kira taking a fair bit of damage, even through the Q shield, but G4 uncharacteristically missing Crescent Slash. Moss and SOFM. Looks like they smell blood. Might be the mid lane the focus now for CIS though. Nope, going to be the Rift Herald. Meanwhile, the setup continues on the bottom side of the map. Optimus is even there. See whether the Tristana Thresh are going to push out. Flex and Demonco. Not quite aware. Oh, that Sonic Wave. Wow. That grazed Demonco's backside. Whew. On its way past. Could feel the wind where it passed him by. But he's going to be safe. SOFM, tail between his legs, heads back towards the Raptor camp that has been his the entire time, even though it's not in his side of the map.
It was an interesting choice, and I think it's the right one to give the Rift Herald over to Dimashka. Just because, I mean, Malphite can push the lane, but all it'll do is hit the Aurelia, and then Aurelia farms under the tower, and it bounces back.
Yeah, so you're pretty psyched about it too.
Yeah, exactly. Rift Herald on Malphite against an Aurelia isn't a particularly valuable resource unless you're using it elsewhere on the map. So I wonder whether Dimashka's going to go up and kind of babysit for him and maybe try and look to force him off the tower. That looks like what he's trying to do right now. They've got to be careful because I think Archie actually may be able to survive depending on whether the CC gets layered properly here.
Yeah, there's not a lot of extra damage on the side of the Malphite and the Elise, but of course, Unstoppable Force is there, does line up a pretty easy cocoon, so he's going to be stopped for quite some time.
Flash is up, and he can Q to a minion if he's quick enough, but I actually think this probably isn't a dive worth doing at this point. Again, it's very tough to kill her.
Yeah, going to be dangerous. Looks like CIS team has actually thought exactly the same, especially as Kira's getting dove once again. In with the Lunar Rush, the Ignite. Down onto G4, Kira has to be careful, but there are so many members of the GPL here. Optimus tanks up about 15 turret shots, but he's going to be okay. Demonco now trying to turn it around. Optimus still alive somehow. Demonco able to pick up the kill in the end as Archie makes his way in Transcendent Blades. He wants a kill. Demonco is going to fall as the first. Explosive shot going to go off. SOFM still okay. Lex smells blood, wants to find some more, but that is a positive trade for the GPL after a pretty weird turn of events.
Yeah, and I prefer that play out of the GPL to what the CIS team were looking for. They couldn't quite get down to the middle lane in time, and Kira is just struggling so much in this matchup. 0-3, and pretty much all of it has come from 1 versus 1. In that one, yes, they did require Optimus just to tidy up the end of that, but Kira was pretty much dead as it was from G4, and they've created such a lead from that middle lane right now, and that is difficult to deal with. 2-0 and 1 Diana. Did end up falling just from the amount of turret shots that Diana had to take, but certainly that is how to set yourself up for a good rest of the game. Archie even got a kill in that as well.
Yeah, managed to teleport in and translate that into a kill. Always what you want. Archie making his way back to base. Trinity Force now completed. It's exciting to see what he's going to go for next, but doesn't have any money to buy anything else, so we just don't know. But the added seal, yeah, it does have a null magic mantle, so might be going towards Mercury's Treads or a Wit's End. That would be my personal favorite. You know, get rid of Smurf's magic resist so you can do physical damage to him.
Going old school, Wit's End, Ionic Spark. No, that's an old
that's a
item.
blast.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to go too further.
You're talking Shen builds now, man.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was going to say. I was like, oh, this is Season 2 Shen.
I like it. I like it a lot. Actually, love Wit's End. I try and build it on everything, but it's never good. Demarche, though, is going to get kicked, forced to use the flash. Trying to turn it around as well, but Optimus is here. Pink ward, not going to get cleared just yet. As you can see, the Dragon available. G4, we'll see whether he dives the turret one more time. Has a couple of levels of advantage and a whole bunch of farm over that of Kira. He's falling drastically behind.
I mean, how do you contend with that in the middle lane? You can't really lock down G4 in time. Archie and Smurf still going toe-to-toe, but Archie doesn't have his flash available, so he's going to have to play trickery around the lane here.
Yeah, hitting style, doing some work there onto Smurf, but he does have the Unstoppable Force. So if he takes a little bit more damage, it's going to be a problem. Descent's going to find the gap between SOFM and Optimus. GPL going to take their second Dragon of the game. Brent's going to help out with that one pretty easily. Not even going to happen as SOFM able to lock that one down with the Smite. Nash's Tooth almost completed now for G4. 2-0-1 on the Diana, who didn't even need to be there for the Dragon take. Just looking to continue to make Kira's life really, really awful.
Yeah, Kira is not enjoying this game at all as much as the last few games. And, you know, I'm really loving watching this. I'm not loving watching the top lane matchup, but whenever we kind of sneak a peek and they're right next to each other fighting, it looks very flashy.
Oh,
it really is darting around
and there's
the place.
stuff happening,
and then
man.
you realize nothing's actually happening. Like, there really is nothing happening in that matchup.
They're really into doing nothing, though.
Hey,
that's the best part. When there's enthusiasm, it's always good. Optimus, why did you stop there? DeMonco must be so confused. Oh man, that was ridiculous. Pierce does land on Alex, and he cops the Dark Binding as well. But man, DeMonco must be so angry because Optimus literally just stopped in his tracks.
Hey man, Optimus just had that feeling. It's like, if I were DeMonco, where would I be?
He's a smarter man than I. I would have kept on walking.
Stops.
They didn't have vision either. Wow.
Impressive.
Yeah, not bad at all. Well, Lex going to utilize that static shiv as well as the BF sword to get some extra damage. Clear out this wave very, very easily. The Tristana way.
I'm not sure about this attempt at a Rift Herald. Not when you haven't killed top or mid and they're collapsing on you. And the CIS region think the same as well. Then maybe not. Not this time.
But if you can sneak it, you may as well take it. Of course, they didn't know that there was vision in there. There is a pink ward in the back of the peak now, though. I believe Archie put that one down. Mercury's threads have been completed, so not sure what he's going to grab for his next completed item inside of this Aurelia. Very excited to see. Bated breath is being held.
It's got to be Rage Blade. Like, it has to
gotta be.
It has to be. I mean, otherwise, Aurelia's not... Okay, so Aurelia's a fine pick for top lane. Probably not blind in most situations, unless you're expecting them to just go, okay, Malphite contained. But if you're not building Rage Blade, I feel like you're just kind of hamstringing yourself for no apparent reason.
That's a good point. Well, DeMonco going to take a whole lot of spears to the face here as Optimus. He's got the explosive shot, but Moss is taking the damage. Lex really starting to flex his muscles here on the bottom side of the map.
Flex is...
Yeah,
see what you did there.
There was a cheeky rhyme, but
it's
I didn't really want to draw attention to it too much.
That is not the makings of a Rage Blade, and that is not your jungle, G4, but it doesn't seem to matter for him.
He doesn't mind, he's still going to take down this pink ward. Kira saying, but we just told you to leave, but he didn't. This turret's still getting danced around now as Moss is going to tank it up. Tormented Soil being quite frustrating in that department. Turret does fall in the top lane though. Smurf, he's the one getting the better of his lane opponent, but everywhere else struggling just a little bit.
He's even forcing Archie to pick up some extra magic resist here.
Yeah.
Looking towards that Spectre's Cowl by the looks of it. I mean, that's not an offensive Aurelia build. I mean, I really struggle to see the Aurelia pick without the Rage Blade right now. It's so strong.
It is, and maybe he's going to be building it later. Maybe he wants a cheeky Spectre's Cowl just to help with these trades against Smurf.
He is kind of losing out in the trades against Smurf, which is not the best result for Archie, but I feel like Rage Blade would actually help him win those trades. Like, I actually think, although he'll still be as squishy as he was, I think that the actual Rage Blade damage is going to make Smurf think twice about actually wanting to trade.
Not to mention you'll be able to clear out the minion wave a little bit faster as well. And, you know, more attack speed means more hit and style procs. I do see you thinking. And he does still have the CS advantage, so Archie farming very well. And Smurf, I mean, it's going to take him a while to kill him, of course. Archie's true damage is going to help him in the matchup. They're just going to wait, farm things out.
Well, we thought it might be a little bit more early game focused with a Lee Sin, with a Diana, with a Kalista. And we did get that.
Yeah, we did, and now it's just stopped a bit.
Predominantly from that mid lane matchup, just G4 kind of dominating Kira again and again, but now it's kind of the waiting game. The GPL team don't really know what to do without Dragon being available. This is an old style game where, is Dragon available? Yes, okay, we fight and take it. If no, then let's just farm side lanes, farm our waves, not do anything really.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
I mean, I'm getting real strong flashbacks to like European Challenger Series finals here. There was a series between, I believe it was Team Dignitas who would eventually make it in, and if I remember rightly, Mouse Sports. They just waited every game for 5 dragons. Every single game. And there was like Aurelias, there was Malphites. Same kind of vibe I'm getting here.
Well, let's scale. Well, G4, he's having no trouble taking down Smurf underneath his turret. He's back in. The Unstoppable Force goes down, but the Lunar Rush still has another charge. The Flash out of the way, Cocoon as well. And G4, once again, decimating people. Doesn't matter which lane he's in. Moss is going to get caught by the death sentence. Kira with a Force Pulse, but he's too far behind at this stage. SOFM goes very aggressive, manages to safeguard his way out. Lex now going to be the focus. Moss going to get picked up with that Fate's Call, and Rend comes down to Monko as well. The resets there, that's the double. Moss is even alive. Somehow, Sonic Wave yet again grazing the behind of a Star Ladder member, and man, oh, Lex, quite aggressive. There's the flash forward, just flat out misses that one. And Lex might be able to turn this one around. SOFM able to safeguard over the wall, no vision available. So it's not going to be the triple, but Lex has found his way back in.
A lot of things just happened in the short space of time. First of all, the GPL team recognized that with no magic resist...
Oh, dear.
Oh, they really has come in. With no magic resist, they were able to put Diana up against the Malphite. Flash over the wall from Archie.
Yeah, Equilibrium Strike goes in. G4 wants to find his way around. That's a pop. And the Tristana is most definitely dead. He's going to be able to spend a fair bit of money. But from the Death Chamber.
And that is basically what happened to start this off, is Smurf dying to Diana up in the top lane meant that Smurf wasn't available for that fight. Flash forward, they managed to pick up Kira in the middle lane. A lot of back and forth, little trading, and we're actually going to see it again. This is G4 this is G4 killing Dimashka halfway through that fight. I was going to get to this.
Oh, really?
But,
okay.
this was, meanwhile, the mid lane fight was going on. G4 managed to take out a second contender up in the top lane. You can see the Callista kills coming up from that middle lane, but G4 just schooling on people.
He is.
All the way through this game.
Turrets just don't seem to be doing that much to him at the same time. Boots of Lucidity have been picked up as well as the Sonya's Hourglass. This is a 3-item double Doran's Ring G4 on the Diana. In fact, that's a full item build. I count it. I mean, 2 of them are, in fact, Doran's Rings, but still, theoretically, full items. G4 going to be very happy about it. So mixed resistances as well as the Nash's Tooth for potential split pushing, and they just don't want to hard commit onto this guy. He doesn't have his flash available. There's the Unstoppable Force eventually. Zonya's not even going to be used, and that's a free shutdown. So, well, I was just talking him up and then just decides to get himself killed.
Yeah, he does, but, I mean, G4 is still very strong regardless of the shutdown at this point. That was just the GPL team not responding fast enough to the CIS push in the middle lane, and they're still not responding. Moss is caught out too.
Yeah, he's going to get Fate's Called out of the way. Moss says, thank you very much for that. Took your time. Sonic Wave not going to land here as SOFM hasn't really had the impact that we were expecting of him, but Inner Turret is now under fire. Lex, this is what he demonstrated before, is you give him any time with turrets and he's going to take them down. Archie now finding his way into this fight. G4 does have teleport. 6 seconds now on the clock. And the Star Ladder team, they know that they cannot do anything.
Just keep running at this point. Just back the way out of that lane. 2 turrets, though, is a big
Fantastic
factor. And it's all from a decisive call from the Star Ladder team. Just pushing through the middle lane, catching out G4 while he didn't have that flash available. But look at the experience difference. G4 is level 16. Nobody on the team from the CIS region is above 14. And even that's just a Malphite that barely has any
Nobody else in the
resist.
game. He's 2 levels above everyone else in the game. It's pretty silly.
That's just the strength of the extra experience that comes from kills.
Yeah, precisely, as well as the fact that he's now farming about 20 CS ahead of the clock. So he's killed a lot of creeps at the same time, like, not just champions.
He's killing everything.
Yeah. It's very, very scary.
No discrimination.
Yeah, I mean, even Krugs.
It's Krugs, jungle, wards. Just take it all, G4.
He's a bloodthirsty monster. Fell Cascade comes out one more time. Smurf, now with a Spectre's Cowl, might be a little bit more difficult for G4 to kill him. I do assume that he wants revenge, though. Still waiting for that flash to come off cooldown. Now SOFM building towards the Warden's Mail. The Randuin's Omen. See whether he continues to go strong in this game, but you can see deciding to go a little bit more defensive. Hasn't had the start that SOFM would have liked into this game. We'll have to hop on the back of G4 and Optimus. Optimus actually 3-2-1. With quite a CS lead of his own now with the Last Whisper there in that repertoire. Later the Ruined King still deciding to go for that. Even though we did see the Hurricane plus Infinity Edge working out quite well for other players.
Yeah, we have seen that. G4 down in the bottom lane is just too big of a problem for pretty much one person to handle. The Starladder team have to send somebody else or they will end up
I think he's too much for two people.
Maybe. I think it depends which two. The problem is if they send 2 carries down bottom lane, G4 may either kill both of them or at least the rest of the team will clean up.
Well, G4 trying to get back in here. Lex is down. Zhonya's is going to go off, but I don't know what G4 can do. Tries to turn around and pick up the kill on the Tristana, but he's not going to get there. So that was the right two.
That was the right two, and I'm surprised that the GPL team have not recognized it, or didn't recognize that that was coming. I mean...
Or after they did, why didn't they do something else?
I mean, yeah, there's legitimately 2 options there. You either allow the Diana to just push in and start taking things and engage with the rest of the team if you're the Starladder team, or if you're on the GPL side and you're like, okay, Malphite's staying. Why is Malphite staying? Oh, Tristana's there. Okay, got it.
Yep.
But the rest of the team from the Southeast Asian region didn't react to doing anything. All they did was just kill a couple of wards on the top side, so all of the pressure that G4 just got for the team has been released instantly as the CIS team have hung on. They've taken down that tower in the bottom lane. It's going to make it slightly more difficult, or at least a little bit tougher a decision for G4 to push down there on his own.
Yeah.
Without that safety, but it is a very minor thing this leads into the game.
Well, if you're talking about safety, I mean, he was already at their inner turret. It was already too far to walk, let's be real.
Well, he's level 17. If that hadn't been a Tristana,
if he was ever going to be walking backwards.
Yeah,
but I highly doubt he's going to be doing that. Does have now an extra blasting one. We'll see whether it's going to be the Void Staff or the Rabbidan's Death Cap. Knowing G4 might be a, I don't know, somehow loses Echo. I don't know. Sundes never seemed to get what he builds right. Likes the Smurf though, clearing out the mid lane, and once again, Starladder grouping up, and this is what has worked for them in the past. Last time they headed to the mid lane, it was 2 turrets. See whether they can do it again. G4, once again, split push duty. As Kira finds his way forward, but not going to get anything at all. Smurf once again answering the push of the Diana. The rest of SEA still around here. Archie, no man's land a little bit.
I kind of wish that there were decisions being made by the rest of the team from SEA. It seems to be really just G4 going, okay, I can kill him. I'm going to go for this.
Yeah.
And then nobody else is doing
anyone.
too much. Right, that's what I mean. It's like, there seems to be this communication breakdown where it's like, okay, I'm going to try and kill him, but you guys need to do this in response. So yeah, I'm not sure who takes the predominant shot calling role on this mixed team, whether you kind of have one strong voice or multiple, you know, slightly weaker voices, but certainly it seems like there's no real direction on what the next play is. And this is the problem with these games when they're getting stalled out, is you start making bigger decisions, which if they go wrong, have much bigger repercussions. When it's like, okay, let's just start a Baron, or let's try and fight over a dragon, rather than, okay, I need to sort out side wave control, and then I can look to duel.
Well, at the moment, he's managed to sort out the side wave control towards the top side of the map. Now made his way back towards the dragon. It will be the 4th for the GPL, but it's been started already from the CIS region. SOFM wants to find his way in. He's going to land the Sonic Wave. We'll see whether they're going to be able to start the fight that they're looking for. Still with the dragon aggroed. Lex holding onto that one. G4 finds his way in. Another Sonic Wave as the dragon resets. And Smurf is just looking for that unstoppable force. Still down at half health. In goes SOFM. Not going to be able to grab the dragon, but here goes the fight. Archie with the Transcendent Blades out. Dark Binding somehow missing all 5 members when they were all there. And it looks like the disengage at the moment. G4 wants to get back into this team as Black Shield going to be put on top of him. Now trying to turn it back around. Smurf is going to get engaged on. G4 getting a little bit impatient. Everyone just dancing out of the way though, because he's commanded so much respect on this Diana. I do not want to stay in. That is going to be the dragon going towards CIS. And that is one dragon less that they have to deal with as far as this 5th dragon win condition was concerned for GPL, because they were getting there very quickly. Yeah, now puts us back on a 12-minute clock for that 5th dragon rather than a 6-minute clock. Honestly, that whole stalemate is all on the Malphite ult. If that wasn't available or had been used, the SEA team would have got it, like almost undoubtedly. The problem was they couldn't afford to be moving forward into the Malphite with
Diana, who, even though she's level 18, can get picked off fairly quickly. Yeah, I know. Everybody else is level 14, and she's at the level cap. Optimus, if Callista gets caught by a Malphite ult, that's pretty much the fight over for her. So, I mean, it's just basically just a standoff between these two teams. When that Malphite ult is up, nobody's going to want to fight unless Smurf can find 2 or 3 people.
Oh, well, they started off the Baron here. You can see Scrying Orb has been used, but they're continuing to damage this one. Teleport is available from both the top laner and the mid laner here as G4 is going very aggressive on the Smurf. He's going very low in the bottom lane. SOFM looking for the steal. It's down very low, but Damashke once again secures the objective. Archie now in the back line has found Lex. Start finding lands onto Damashke, but man, there's the ultimate out of Malphite. And G4 looking to try and find his way in, but we've got another pause.
We have got another pause. And this is a rough time for a pause again, as has been the case between these two teams. But at this point, this is looking very good for the CIS team. I mean, they've just come out from this fight. They got Archie, they got the Baron from this as well.
And I don't know how Smurf managed to actually get into that fight because he was going down so low against G4 previously. Just couldn't quite dive the inner turret. And both of them wanted to get to this next ensuing fight.
Yeah, and that fight was a rough fight, just in general, as it played out. I mean, SOFM, a nice attempt at the steal, but couldn't quite get it. Dimashka, even on levels, had that Q and the Smite combo available to him, so the rest of that fight from there. I mean, Optimus was peeling back from the fight. G4 managed to get himself over the wall. There were a couple of low-health targets in front of him. Tough to tell how that would have ended, because G4 doesn't have a lot of mana, is the other thing. Yes, he's got a blue buff on him, I believe.
Yes.
It wouldn't have been all that much more that he could have done.
It's a very good point. And it's the vision bug once again, ladies and gentlemen. If you saw G4 teleporting in on the ward towards the back of the Baron pit, it's exactly the same situation. Admittedly, it's not about the vision because the Scrying Orb did go off beforehand, so of course everyone knew that the Baron was going down. But I believe they didn't understand that G4 had the ability to teleport onto that particular ward, which could have potentially had an impact in that fight. So we'll see what is going to happen in a moment.
Yeah, well, hopefully we will. I mean, taking a look at this game, it actually ended up playing fairly similar to the last game in that we find ourselves with not many inner towers going down.
Yeah.
We find ourselves with...
even though similar gold,
most of the champions are very different, we're basically in the same spot again.
Yeah. But talking about Archie, because I want to go back to the Aurelia build because we haven't really touched on it since we thought it was just going to be the Spectre's Cowl and then move into more damage. He's gone for the Frozen Heart as well. So it's going back a long way to when, you just built the Trinity Force and then you went full tank by the look of Archie's build. And I kind of like it. Of course, you got a lot of extra cooldown reduction from the Frozen Heart. You then go into the Trinity Force, and with some runes and masteries, you could potentially finish the 40% CDR off that way. Kind of like it.
I mean, Archie's basically saying I don't need to carry this game, which
is true.
Which is true, and brings me to the question of why Aurelia? Because she's pretty good at carrying games when she gets ahead.
That's a good point.
I mean, if he didn't want to carry the game and didn't want Jax...
Bait and switch, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe it's like, focus me.
Yeah.
The real carry is G4. Like, I'm gonna pick Aurelia, bait them into a Malphite, get a jungler to come top, and then G4 is going to kill mid lane 3 times. That's the strat, Max. That's how that's going to go. Lo and behold, the Prophet, Archie, actually...
knows exactly what's
played it. And it came out exactly as he prepared for it, too. Man, I wish I had that kind of power.
Yeah, well, look, Archie, with great power comes great responsibility. Make sure you utilize it effectively.
Uncle Ben said that.
He did.
He also makes great rice.
He does?
With great rice comes great responsibility as well, Max. I mean...
I did not know that. I wasn't aware.
No? It was actually, they wanted to write that into the Marvel Universe, but couldn't quite find the right space for it. Probably in, like, Deadpool they could fit that in.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They can fit anything in there. And we are drifting way
off topic.
But
I don't even know where I am anymore, to be perfectly honest.
Neither do I. Everything's upside down, and Christmas is warm. So I don't really know what's going on sometimes when it comes to Melbourne, but I'm loving it. It's the weather changes all the time, Max. I'm not sure exactly how you manage with it, but I love being in this city as it is. It's all good.
I'm sorry. It's just gone a little bit too far. Ladies and gentlemen, we do have some more information. CIS region was offered another remake. They have decided to decline, and the game will resume shortly. Of course, right in the middle of a team fight makes things difficult, but in a couple of seconds, we'll see exactly what is going to eventuate. Damashka is going to go aggressive onto G4. He does have the Zonya's Hourglass, heads back over the wall. Demonko able to pick up Optimus, though, and Lex is going off in this fight. And that is 4 dead on the side of the GPL, and they only lost Demonko. Definitely the turnaround they were looking for.
Yeah, that absolutely was the turnaround they were looking for. Managed to get the sneaky Baron play. This time it works out in their favor, and that really turns this game around here for the CIS region. And you have to think that if you take the pause out of that circumstance, I don't think too much would have gone any differently from that. They had already secured the Baron at that point, and now they're looking to push on even further.
Yeah, this inhibitor turret is not long for the world. Lex, of course, makes short work of turrets as it is, with the Baron buff minions as well. It's very, very difficult, but with everyone respawning, Starlighter side do not want to give up anything. They're going to head back to base, spend up their well-earned money, head back and do it again. Death's Dance actually completed by Lex.
Oh, yeah, that is an item we do not very often see at all.
Well, it was also very difficult to see the item before this patch as well, because it's relatively new.
That is true. I mean, even since the patch, we don't see Death's Dance so much. So what it does is, it does give extra 80, 65 extra 80, 10% cooldown reduction. And also, you get an extra bit of heal for the percentage of the damage dealt, 12% to be exact.
Yeah, and it's not only from your auto attacks as well, it's from all of your spells at the same time. So anything that you do, for a Tristana, that explosive shot is going to be giving her a whole bunch of health back. She's happened to have lost it.
Yeah, the other thing it does is delay some of the incoming damage, but
Archie just gets exploded. Smurf picks up that kill. G4 now tries to get in there, but not going to be able to. And with these Baroned up minions, the Starlighter team, they're able to crash into this base, take the first inhibitor, move onto the top lane, grab the second as well. Optimus now bouncing around this minion wave. GPL team have just fallen apart at this stage.
They very much have so. And that Death's Dance is also going to be able to kind of stem a little bit of the damage that G4 is going to be able to output on Lex.
Yeah.
He'll delay the damage. It'll transfer 12% of the damage taken into a bleed.
The Negatron cloak as well.
Yeah.
Cloak as well is going to be helping. So lots of extra damage for Lex. Poor Adam Tristana, we saw it before. It just does so much work on the structures. And, of course, the champions. And
now this is the problem with running Irelia Diana, is good luck clearing these waves out without Kalista stepping up to the mark. And then you have to be just careful about that Malphite ultimate coming forward. So maybe next wave, we may see the engage coming from the CIS team. I don't really think Dragon's a big enough factor for them to back away and recall. It all depends on how it goes as this minion wave pushes up. Mid lane is going to push in soon as well. Smurf did get Dark Binded.
Oh, G4 in a bit of trouble here, but you can see the final inhibitor turret is going down. The Zonyas has gone off here as G4 is trying to get into the backline. SOFM manages to get onto Lex. Sonic Wave's landed as well as he gets Buster shotted away, but the shutdown comes in. G4 has taken him out. SOFM is going to fall, but it's already a couple of kills as CIS members are falling left, right, and center. Smurf now dead. Damashke is being hunted by Moss. They're actually corralling the spider as Kira is still alive. Ooh. Dark Binding skims the back portion, the abdomen of the spider. She slinks away. Optimus doing a lot of work in that fight. 6-3 and 4 now for G4 as well, but they have to pick up the pieces of their base. I feel like the damage has well and truly been done here by the CIS team. Yeah, they save the Nexus turret. And will lose the inhibitor turret, though. That was a much better fight from the GPL than I was kind of expecting from them. And it was all on G4 going in aggressive to start it off. Got a 3 or 4 person pullback with Diana. From that had a fair amount of damage, but it was Lex dying once again. As soon as Lex dies in these fights, it's been the same for this game and the remade game. As soon as he dies in the fight, CIS run out of options of damage. Yeah, but if he doesn't, then they take the whole base. So it really is sort of that sort of knife-edge situation here, Stress. Whenever Lex is involved, it seems like they're all revolving around him. And it has been working.
It has.
Until the last team fight. Dragon number 2 has gone down. Of course, that is 2 to 3. GPL probably would have liked to grab that, but they just don't have any map control anymore. Managed to push out some minion waves, though. CIS moving up to try and take down the last remaining inhibitor. Only 3,000 gold is the lead here for CIS. 9 turrets to 3
At this point, 3,000 gold is pretty much nothing.
It is.
So, again, it is all down to this next fight. This time, no real presence here from the Starladder team. They're just waiting on top and mid lane to push in. Once again, Smurf gets bound up early on to begin anything, so he's not able to continue pushing forward at this point. Kira took a little bit of damage. Now they're trying to get up to the inhibitor. G4's caught!
Yeah, Unstoppable Force does go in. G4 immediately explodes. Archie trying to find the backline, but not going to be able to get onto Lex. Oh, SOFM all the way to the backline, and he manages to kick Lex into the fight. Moss is able to take him down, and now Optimus doing his very best to get back in amongst it. Zhonya's does go off. Smurf has to deal with all the sticks right on top of him. Optimus utilizes at least the QSS, but is not able to stop that purple orb from smacking him in the head. Damashke, Damonko, and Smurf now alive. And with super creeps heading into the base, this could just spell the end.
Archie's here. Can he deal enough damage to force the Starladder team back? That tower will die pretty quickly.
Well, he's not dying all that fast, but Archie, with the build that he's gone for, just doesn't quite have the damage to deter the Starladder members, especially not with these super creeps aiding them. Last inhibitor does fall down, but as we saw from CIS, they do like taking the long route. Don't want to take too many chances.
They love tutorial style here.
That is true. 20 seconds until Baron. I have a sneaking suspicion that will fall down too.
This wave clear isn't actually very strong. Thank goodness G4 respawned and there's a minion wave, because that actually could have been more problematic than it should have been for the GPL team.
Archie is able to help out there with the Transcendent Blades as well. Ultimate used. Minions, please die. He has managed to do so. Teleport available from Smurf if he wants to come through for another backdoor. Of course, did not for it last time. Lex able to clear out the vision. SOFM.
I'm not sure backdoor Malphite is...
well, look.
I mean, it's a possibility. I won't take it away.
It's going to take him a while.
But certainly the easier option with the bot inhib being down, it's an easier option to just go for the Baron buff, and that's another pause.
That is another pause. The Baron, I think, is going to die.
I think so. I do think that is the case. But we will see. We'll see. It's going down pretty quickly. That is pretty straightforward. I am just taking a quick look at the map and the exact situation that we are on. But right now, the Starladder team at this point are pretty happy taking this Baron. I mean, there's nobody around to stop them. Starladder do have a fair amount of sight over where the GPL team are right now. They can see Lee Sin, they can see Diana, I believe it is.
Yeah, and in fact, the vision bug has happened again, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
And we have paused for that exact reason, but it's affecting both teams equally at this stage. I think everyone sort of understands that nothing too much would have happened as far as that one is concerned, but it has happened one more time, and we're telling both of the teams that it is affecting everyone equally, and we are just going to resume very shortly.
Okay, I mean, from having our lovely objective view of the game, seeing everything,
Overlords.
I mean, we can see that GPL are nowhere near to contend right now.
They're not exactly up to contesting that one.
No,
that is very true.
And I feel like if they do contest that, they lose their nexus to minions from the bottom side. Or they lose the fight because someone stays to clear the minions.
Interesting thing is that, you know, the gold is still incredibly close. 2,000. So, look, theoretically, GPL side win a fight at this stage, manage to then clear out the minions, wait for the inhibitors to respawn, and then, you know, win something further on forward. But just seems like Lex is such a problem.
He is. And it's such a simple way of doing that, Atlas.
Yeah.
Easier said than done. And I'm completely with you, though. That would be the way to do it. I mean,
if you're going to do it, do it.
If you're going to do it.
Maybe just kill the enemy's Nexus. They should do that as well. That'd be a really great way to win.
That's just one sweet, short sentence that is just the way to win. Just kill the Nexus.
Yeah,
that's all you got to do. Get into
that
the game.
Sweet 50 gold.
Get into the game. Kill the Nexus. That's it. Well, that's all you got to do.
Yeah.
Easy
I know the
peasy.
objective of this game. Haha.
Nice.
Nailed it. But that Baron is about to go down. That is going to happen, and I have a feeling that this is the slow circling of the drain of the GPL at this stage, because it's going to be very, very hard for them to, A, get onto Lex, because it just feels like the clock has run out for this team comp from the GPL.
Yeah. It certainly does. You actually just reminded me of another Simpsons reference about I've just realized I'm on the other side of the Earth. I haven't checked yet whether the water goes down the drain the other way. I haven't checked it yet. I'm going to get back to my hotel room now and go, does it work? Does it work? And then realize I've never really taken into account which way it flows anyway.
I just like how you're talking about, you know, furiously flushing a toilet on air.
I don't know whether it's furiously, but that did make for some good alliteration.
You seemed really excited.
It's because I realized, I was like, I haven't thought about that. And then realized it's a really dumb thing to talk about. And figured I'd just say it anyway.
No, I like it.
I say a lot of dumb stuff, so...
Well, the game's still yet to be unpaused, of course. You do understand what's happening, guys, so we'll be back into it very, very quickly. But
yeah, we will be. 3, 2.
Yeah.
And we're going back. Oh,
there it is. There we go. Teams come in. Baron is going to fall, surprisingly enough.
And Dimashka's going to recall. Oh, no. He just was like, I don't feel safe enough to end this game, guys.
Yep. I've got empowered recall. I want to utilize it. That makes a bunch of sense.
Again, don't do something because you need to. Do something because you can.
Yeah, like recall.
We saw that earlier in the game, right? With the Tristana Thresh interaction with the jump.
Yeah, exactly.
Flashy. Make sure you let them know you can recall in 4 seconds.
Yeah. And look, Smurf has stoppable force. He should just use it.
I don't really think that's the way to
okay, that's not how it works. Archie's going to get hooked. There is the black shield, though, so he's going to survive for now, but down to half health, and the inhibitor is going to fall. Top one, of course, tutorial style. We are going to take down the top inhibitor as well. Dark Binding lands. Moss going to dodge out of the way of the death sentence. And CIS region able just to take down any structure they look at. They really need to move towards the Nexus, though.
Yes.
Well, G4 going to flash his way, and that's a massive moonfall into the back line. Uses the Zhonya's, is going to survive another day. Demonko getting taken down very low as Optimus trying to throw some sticks into people. Lex, though, is going to take down SOFM. He's still alive in the back line and very, very healthy with that death dance. G4 without the Zhonya's available. And Archie is going to fall. Equilibrium Strike going to run out as Damashke is going to find Moss. Picks up the kill, and now the Goomba stomping starts. Lex just unable to be heard at this stage, and the Nexus falls. CIS region, after the remake, able to come back from a deficit and tear apart Southeast Asia's lineup.
A long set of games, a lot of tiring plays for a lot of the players. You can see just the relief to finally get that win on the board from the CIS team. They've had a much better second day of this tournament than their first.
Much better.
Actually looking a lot stronger. They've
evened it up.
Yeah, they have evened it up. They come in with a bit of a different strategy with the Tristana, put Kira onto that Kassadin, get him fed, and or I guess in this game it was actually have him die in lane, but it didn't matter either way for CIS, as ultimately they would close out the game from another Baron play. It was another one of those ones where they just find the opening and are able to take the Baron pretty much uncontested and take the fight after it.
Yeah, and they managed to do everything fantastically after what was a horrible early game. I mean, that 0-4-0 start for Kira. He ended up on 3, 6, and 7. It was a positive KDA in the end, you know, over 1, which is definitely good. But G4 just couldn't quite command the respect that he could command in the early stages of the game. And Smurf just got too big. He was a monster on that Malphite. And when G4 couldn't 1v1 him in the split push, it felt like they just realized that, hang on, there's just not a whole lot more we can do.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen maybe some more damage out of Archie, but I guess that'll have to wait for another day, see whether Irelia gets played again.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But we are going to throw it back to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much as we are back after a grueling last few games there in the 5v5. But congratulations to the CIS team. Very well played. And honestly, SOFM and G4, I felt like they were trying so hard to carry this game and they just couldn't quite do it.
Yeah, time and time again, they were just diving into the entirety of a team and they were trying their best, but once again, got to question G4 build. No death cap in there. It was up to 6 items nearly at the end. He had another needlessly large rod. Just wasn't able to get enough dominant. And Kira was an absolute monster as the game progressed.
Yeah, a couple question marks for me over some of the item builds, specifically top lane as well. Irelia, only one item, literally just went for the rest of the tank build, and like it just didn't do any damage. Like Malphite just stood there and said, "I'm a rock," and nothing happened.
All of the goodwill that had been earned in the early game by Southeast Asia got thwarted by some of the objective-based calls and by over-eager dives. Yes, G4 was ahead, but they didn't need to go that deep several occasions, and they got punished for it. CIS turned the game around, and much like they won in the game earlier today, by successfully using the Baron to push down lanes and towers, they showed that they have a good understanding of how to use the Baron buff, but it did take a little while because they were playing it quite safe and by the numbers.
And this is the fun thing about tournaments, right? Tournament meta expands as the games go on, and we've seen both top teams from day one now lose both their games on day 2. We have this whole middle of the pack 2-2. Turkey out in the lead at 3-1. Oceania sitting at the bottom of the table. Sorry, guys, but
you predicted
it's going to be, yeah, I certainly did. It's going to be a very interesting tournament just because of the adaptation needs to come in from these good teams.
It does. And I think we've seen, a lot of Tristana, honestly, been the biggest success story for CIS today. The 2-0 pretty much on the back of that champion.
Yeah, I kind of want to jump back on just to like the adaptations from the teams, because we've seen entirely different teams from day 1 to day 2. So much from LATAM, looking at specifically top lane, in from CIS as well. I spoke about the other players before, but also Lex looks incredible this game, had the resets going for him. Even top lane Smurf basically did his role. When I spoke to Falcon earlier, he was like, you play Malphite, you basically just play Malphite. And as long as you are that front line for your team, you're doing it right.
Yeah, completely agree. And the other adaptation is that SOFM just seems to have lost a lot of that aggressiveness. Solo killing people time and time again. This time takes a completely different Lee Sin build. No exhaust, none of the aggressiveness that we saw within the game against the Turkish lineup that they had so much success in. They're not degrading the game. They're not bringing people into that scrappy team fight meta. And it just looks like the later the game goes, the more question marks come out of their team.
All right, with that, guys, we unfortunately do not have any 1v1s for the evening, but we're going to be back tomorrow at 10 a.m., so don't forget our new start time. We'll be back with more IWCA action as day 3 kicks off 10 a.m. local time. We'll see you then.